There you go. So what we do is we take our ferro rod, we do one quick strike. All right, and see that's already lit up our char cloth. Look at that, our tinder bundle wants to go already. See all that thick smoke? She's about ready to go. Flame on. Hey friends, hey, welcome back to the Expeditionary Johnny channel. Hey, if you're new to my channel, you'll see here that the theme to my channel is to help remove obstacles getting outdoors. Now typically that means I like to go out for hike and cooks, which typically means I have to make a fire to cook up some food here, all right? And seeing as that it's late November and we already had a bit of snow and it's thawing out, so everything's wet, I thought today would be a great opportunity to talk about making fire for day hikes and just a smidgen of survival type talk. All right, let's head on into the woods. So you can see here, I've got a fair amount of deadfall here that really needs to go. So, hey, why not pick here to make our fire? So let's go ahead and get set up. All right, so hopefully you can see that things are like really wet here. So all I'm simply doing is clearing a little spot here. So I'm not really worried about the fire spreading today. It's wet, it's cold, so it's gonna take a while to really get a nice bed of coals here. So let's go ahead and start on getting the fire going. All right, so when it comes to day hikes and doing recreational burns, I really don't see much difference between the recreational burn and a survival fire for the backpacker. All right, for instance, I always have a couple of Vaseline cotton balls in the inside pocket of my little cash cap, and I also have a couple more in my cash belt. Well, if you are a day hiker and you're worried about a what-if scenario, all you have to do is just grab a larger Ziploc bag, throw a few more Vaseline cotton balls in there. Easy peasy. So, you might ask, how do I start these Vaseline cotton balls? Well, I always carry a lighter in my pocket, so that's one way. And I always have this keychain ferro rod and my Farmer Swiss Army knife. That's another way. So, I've already got a couple of different methods to start a fire at all times. Alright, so perhaps you don't want to bring a big old keychain here in your pocket. That's okay, I have another option for you. Another option is to make one of these paracord bracelets, and they have these little tabs there where it has a little mini ferro rod and striker on there, and that's what we'll be using today. Here's to show you even this small little ferro rod can get your fire started. You just take your striker and scrape it on there. There you go. I'm a little rusty, so it took a few extra strikes, but easy peasy. All right, so let's let that grow for a minute. Then I'm gonna go ahead and get my grill out so I can make some hot chocolate, and then we can talk a little bit more, let's say, long-term fire thinking, okay? All right, so while my water heats up, let's talk about some longer term type, survival type scenarios where you might want to think about other options to get fires started, okay? I'm going to borrow from Dave Canterbury where he talks about the next fire mentality, okay? So you might run out of Vaseline cotton balls, and therefore you have to think about how else can you get your fire started. It's not reasonable to expect everybody to know how to do friction fire. I can do it, and it's taught me a lot, but I don't expect everybody to do that. But what you might want to consider is using char. All right, so what is char, okay? Well, you've heard charcoal, right? Well, if you take, let's say, like cut up blue jeans or a t-shirt, or you find punk wood, and punk wood is just that spongy wood that you find normally in wet conditions, all right? You put that in a container like this, and throw that over the fire for a while, it's going to turn into char, like what you see with charcoal. Now, to make your char, all you need is a container, all right? This is like an old Altoids container. You don't have to do anything special to it. You don't have to drill any holes or anything. There's plenty of ventilation with these two hinges. It'll let out the gases and it won't burn up the materials. Or if you have an old air rifle pellet or BB container, you can use this. Again, you don't have to drill any holes into it. So all you do is you just put your lid on here and you loosely tighten it. Don't tighten up all the way. And we're going to go ahead and throw these two containers on the fire, make us some char, and then we'll make another fire. So check this out, all right? So I have steam, some gases coming out of the hinges of the Altoids container, all right, and then we have some flame out of our little air pellet container. That's not the materials burning up. That's just the gases being released. Eventually that'll all go away. We'll check out our char. Well, I suspect those are about done, so let's pull them from the coals. Alright, so I think those two containers are done. So I'm going to let those cool off so that when I open it up, they don't burst into flames. We'll take a look at them, and then let's make us a bit more of a primitive fire here. Alright, so just a couple of moments gone by. This ground is cold and wet, so these have already cooled off, easy to hold in my hand. And let's see what we have now. See? Beautiful char material. No holes or nothing, just lightly screw it on. Keep it very loose so we can vent out the gases. Let's check out our Altoids container. There we go. Got us some good char material. Here's the char cloth. Here's the char pump, all right? And so let's go ahead and use these to get our bird's nest going into a fire. So if you look around behind me, you know, we got some snow on the ground. It's we're up and down between freezing, so the ground's kind of wet, and it might be hard to find natural materials to get a fire started. So cedar trees are common here in Nebraska, and that's a really good tool, especially if you're thinking longer term where you're going to be using char material. So here in my handy dandy haversack that I always keep in the bottom of my backpack, I do have a bit of cedar bark here. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to start processing it. Now this is a bit much, all right, but guess what? You probably want a bit much, especially when it's damp like this. You're going to really need a good tinder bundle to get some of those dry twigs to take fire, okay? So let's go ahead, and what I'm going to do is just start roughing it up like this, okay? Some of it's already loose, some of it's thick like this, and I can kind of pull it apart and just kind of start working it into, you know, what you would think is a bird's nest. Now I'm going to do this over my haversack so I catch all the droppings so I don't waste anything. So what we do is we take our ferro rod, we do one quick strike. All right, and see that's already lit up our char cloth. Look at that, our tinder bundle wants to go already. Here, let's put that out. That's not because that's not the fire I want to do. Whoops. And you can see my char punk is also lit up. So let's go ahead and switch camera angles and I'll show you how to make this thing go. All right, so we got our bird's nest here. You can see our char is going on strong. Glad I had some wet leaves to grab that, pick that back up. So anyway, we got our char going strong. What you do is you just fold your bird's nest in kind of like a taco, right? Let it absorb all that heat. Now notice something. The smoke's coming toward me, all right? And I want this thing to breathe, so I'm going to actually change directions, all right? I'm going to let the wind blow into this bird's nest. And I'm going to let nature do a lot of this for me. What's going to happen is the char cloth is going to heat up the material, add a little bit of oxygen. Next thing you know, poof, we'll have a flame. All right, see, there's that glowing ember in there. I don't know if you can see that. Just hold it up above your head. See all that thick smoke? She's about ready to go. Flame on. See right there? That's how you get a primitive fire going, okay, with very few materials. Well, there you have it. This brings us to the end of another video, okay? All right, so even if the weather is not all that great, there's still good opportunities to get outside, okay? If you just be prepared for the weather. Matter of fact, when the weather's bad, you're more likely to see wildlife because there's less people out there to scare them critters away. So get out there, hey, make something, a nice warm cup of hot chocolate, something like that. It's nice and refreshing on a cold day. All right, so I hope you guys enjoyed that, and hopefully this inspires you to try different things. Okay, if you got any suggestions, please leave some comments down there. Appreciate you viewing. You guys take care, and y'all have a wonderful one. Have a good week. Bye. Now, if you spend any time on YouTube poking around any other survival channels, you'll see people carrying something like this. This is a larger size ferro rod. I would say if you're planning to go out to an isolated spot for an extended period of time where you cannot come back and resupply, you might consider this. But for the most part, very few of us actually need this. Now, if you want to go on the alone show, you might want to pick this one. So our ground's really wet, right? And so we don't want to... all right, so our ground's really wet, right? So let's help ourselves out a little bit. What we can do is we can just take some sticks, place them on the ground, and try to build our fire on top of it. Gathering some twigs, like some of your small stuff to start your fire. It's a good idea to try to find it hanging from a tree, not collect it from the ground. This is going to be drier and a lot better condition to get your fire started. Chocolate good to go. So I just pulled the grill and I'm let that fire build up to make our char material. So let's sit in the visit and talk about making a bird's nest.